We share communion together. The night before Jesus was crucified, he was with his disciples around a table, fully aware of what awaited him. He picked up bread and a cup and explained that this was his body broken for them and that this cup was his blood poured out for them. He offered each to them, "Take and eat, take and drink." I'm not sure they fully understood what he meant. A few hours later, they were dozing off in the gardens as Jesus desperately prayed and sweat drops like blood. But that bread and cup would become a central part of how they and generations of his followers remember him. We call it communion. There's been a lot of debate throughout church history around communion, but one thing has always been pretty much universally agreed upon. We do it, and we do it together. One of the challenges the Apostle Paul had to deal with in the Corinthian church was an issue around how communion was being practiced. Apparently, some believers, probably those wealthy enough to have flexible schedules, were getting there early and eating and drinking all of the best food. The poorer, working class were showing up later and weren't able to participate. Paul challenged them in saying, when you meet together, you are not really interested in the Lord's Supper. They were doing plenty of eating and drinking, but they were missing the whole point. Paul understood that it wasn't just about every person getting a drink or a piece. What mattered was the way they came together to share those elements. It wasn't just about eating and drinking. It was a matter of sharing together. In fact, Paul challenged them to examine themselves before they participated. If you have an issue with another believer, go and reconcile the matter. Confess to one another, forgive one another. Come in a worthy manner, not selfishly. For when we come to this table together, we do it as one body, one people, sharing together. Or as Paul put it to those Corinthians, wait for each other. We are to do this together. Part of the significance of communion is that Christ gave it to his disciples. It wasn't the bread already on their plates or the drink at the bottom of their own cups. Jesus passed it around to them. The elements remind us of our need. As Jesus put it in the Beatitudes, we hunger and thirst for righteousness. That need humbles us and reminds us that before him, we all share a commonality. We are all in need. We are all dependent on what he gives to us. Those elements remind us that we each share in Christ. So we receive them together. We wait for one another. We eat and drink together. Together we take his body. We become his body. These elements remind us that we share all things Christ, the center of it. We share communion together.